One of the things I love about learning how to refinish furniture is that I have been able to save memories for some of my friends. A colleague that I worked with years ago reached out to me based on seeing some of my videos on social media and said that she had this little rocking chair that had accidentally been broken, and it has a huge crack right here. This little piece is loose, and some of the wood chipped right here. And so she was devastated when this family heirloom broke. So she asked if I could take a look at it and see if it was something that I can fix. Luckily, she found the two missing pieces of wood from the bottom. So I think what I'm going to be able to do is gently put these back in place. Wood glue them in place, and then fill the little crack in the front with some wood filler if needed. And then hopefully this family heirloom will be perfect again and live for many more years. This is the type of thing that brings me joy. I'm not charging her for this project. I said if she wants to buy me a cup of coffee, that'd be great. But the real joy comes from preserving someone's memory for many years to come.
Taking a closer look at the damage, you can see that structurally it's in pretty good shape, but this entire piece on the side right there is loose. It has several large pieces of wood that came out of the bottom, and then it is missing some of the wood and has a nail sticking out on this corner right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to put back the pieces of wood that came out of the bottom. That way I can provide a foundation to it before I start working on the top where you'll be able to see it. I'm going to use Titebond glue, and I'm just going to put a nice thick application of the glue here into that cracked area. And then I will place the long strip of wood in first. Here we go. It's kind of like putting a puzzle together. You want to make sure that you get it in flush and that you're holding the piece on the side that's loose at the right angle to glue it together. Once I've got it glued in there, I have a couple small clamps that I'm going to apply to it to hold everything in place, and I will let it sit and harden overnight. I placed a clamp on the front, the side, and the back in order to try to get all of the pieces to dry in the proper places. Look here, you can see how cute and little it is in this picture. It is just the most adorable thing. So now next day, I'm taking off the clamps and I'm going to work on repairing the next part of it. There's one more little piece of wood to place into the bottom there, and once I have that in place, the bottom's actually going to look pretty good. It might just need a little bit of light sanding and some touch up with some color matching paint, but same process. I'm applying a nice hefty amount of Titebond glue, and then I'm going to place it in there as carefully and closely to where it originally came from as possible, and then use some clamps to hold it in place and a paper towel to wipe off any of the glue, and then let that next piece harden. Final step for the seat is to fill in that little seam there. So I lined everything up, wood glued it, clamped it in place, and then I'm removing the extra glue. So now we've almost got the top of the chair completely repaired. In order to repair the area on the side of the chair where it's missing some wood, I'm using QuikWood. This is a wood epoxy. It's a 2-part product that you blend together. Once it's a solid color, that activates it. You can then just press it in place, kind of like a clay, and it will harden overnight. Once it's hardened, it is sandable, stainable, and paintable. So you just kind of fit it in there, just like a modeling clay would be. It's a great product, especially when you need to fill a pretty substantial area like this one. I wouldn't want to just use a liquid wood filler for this. I want to make sure that it's nice and sturdy. I'm using a little putty knife here to kind of smooth it down and shape it to match the top of the seat and that rounded corner of the chair. Once I have this in place, I will just let it cure overnight. You can see, even though each of these repairs only take a few minutes, there's significant hardening time in between each step, and that's why it'll probably take me about a week total to work on a small project like this. And of course, I'm working on other projects at the same time. I went ahead and repaired both the top and the bottom of the seat with the epoxy so that that missing area will be completely filled in. After the product is hardened, I use some sandpaper on one of my small sanding blocks, and I go in and I smooth the edges so that they will be seamless with the wood, and also just knock down any little bumps, divots, or imperfections that may have occurred when I was putting it in place. Now, since it's going to be, it's going from light to a darker stain, I just went ahead and grabbed some wood stain that I had handy. This is the color Early American. It is an oil-based product. I'm just going to go ahead and put a coat of this on, let it wipe off any excess, and then let it dry before I start color matching with my paint set. All right, now's the fun part. I have to color match. So I have a set of 12 wood paints in different wood shades, but seldom am I able to use just one of them pure. I generally have to blend one or two colors in order to get a color that matches the wood that I'm working on. One challenge I have is that this product dries extremely fast, so I do keep a spray bottle handy, and I use very small amounts of it in order to help cut down the drying time. So I'm just kind of testing a little bit of it over on the side there where there was a scratch to see how well it blends. I think it's going to be a good base coat. The trick that I've found to using this is you want to start with your lighter colors first to develop a base. Once you have a base that's pretty close to the wood tone that you're matching, then you can start coming in with a little bit lighter and a little bit darker to create some of that variation that occurs naturally in wood. So you can see right now this color does not, it's not a pure match, but by the time we add the additional layers and levels of color, it should hopefully be something that you wouldn't see with the naked eye unless you know or you're really looking carefully. So now I'm adding a little bit more of a truer brown on top of the color that I had. And right away you can see this is starting to match the natural wood tone much closer than the base coat was, which had a little bit of that yellow and orange coming through. After adding several layers of color, I'm finally at a point that I think it matches pretty well. So now what I'm doing is I'm coming in with just a little bit of a darker color and continuing the wood grain pattern that is on either side of the area that I repaired. This is really kind of what blends it in and helps it look natural and tricks the eye into seeing it as one continuous piece instead of separate pieces of wood. I added a little bit of wipe-on polyurethane and it is done. I think this turned out wonderful. My inspector approved, and I have a feeling that my friend Michelle is going to be thrilled. Please give me a like, let me know what you think, and